Hey guys, this is Simon with TRADEnPERFORM Coaching. Doing a trade review for June 21st, 2023. So I'm going to cover the setups. I want to be clear. I suggested to almost all team members that they not trade today. Those who did trade, Ronnie, a few others made good money. But I just want to use this as an opportunity to go over the trade setups that I advocate for and help you learn how to make more money going forward. That's the purpose of the room. So let's kind of jump into it and start doing a little learning. So what these are over here are TnP Delta bars that tell me help me find where my buyers and sellers are trapped. And then we have the algos all throughout. So team members, remember that the normal trades we always have are still there. Apex traps, supernova, etc., right? So, but we're focusing specifically on this setup. You'll notice I've removed other pieces of information we have on the chart. So here's 9 o'clock. Let's get oriented. First of all, this is 9 a.m. And we're going to do this without regard for trade location. Okay, we're just going to look at the setup as they are in the raw. And so let me be very clear. What I'm looking for is within a move down. So if you look at this move down here, from here to here, each time I get an up bar, I want to start looking for a new dominant bar. I do not care that whether it's the biggest delta within this rotation or not. Okay, I'm looking at each area. So for example, this is one channel, up bar, new down channel. So for example, if you were to look at this, if I take this line, this is the biggest delta. This is the biggest delta in this down channel. But now it shifts to this new down channel. This is now the biggest delta. Now, the rule, I've used a giant screen. Hopefully this comes across really clear and easily. So I'm going to move this one to the left so we can see the bar. This bar is now my biggest delta. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to put a line underneath it. That is the bottom. That is correct. That is the bottom. This is the top. So I want you to remember, in order, right, I want you to follow. In order for this to trigger properly, I must close back into this bar. So in this example, I didn't know it was going to work out this way, but this does not trigger. I want to say this again. This does not trigger for a long unless the bar with the triangle up closes back into this plane or above this plane. So no trade here, right? Now, there's an apex trap down here, right? That's just a regular, everyday, run-of-the-mill apex trap. Star into star, it's a good trade. There's nothing wrong with it if you took it long, but it's not what we're discussing here. Okay, now as we come up, right, this actually fell out of unfair value. Members of the room will know what I'm talking about there. And if you look at this trade, this is now the biggest delta up on this bar. So again, I'm going to put it to the left. What I want is for that bar to close into it. And you'll see many, many times it simply just does not close into it. So if you look, right, this just didn't close back into this bar. There's no trade here yet. Now, what I want is multiple bars up in a row or multiple bars down. So I just don't get the look that I'm looking for here. Now, as we come down over here, there's no trade. Why is there no trade? See how this column, again, this is Fed day. I'll go through and do another day in just a moment. This is column down. This is my biggest seller. You got to get above my biggest seller. You'll see off to the left, when they tested them, they fail back over here. I don't get the setup. So now I come down here to the low. See this up bar? I'm now looking at this channel right here. Okay, so within this context, right, this is my largest delta down. So I'm going to put a line right here. And a line right here. You'll notice this is, so guys in the room, you'll notice double pink off the bottom, usually a great trade. But in this case, right, I'm focusing on the delta trade. It's this triangle right here that is my entry. It's that triangle. That is actually the first trade that sets up today. Okay, it has to be in or it has to be in or above. That's trade one. Your stop is a 2-bar stop, so it's about 20 points on the 24 tick. And your entry, keeping track, would be 34, and your maximum favorable excursion would have been about 86. So about $1,000 a contract, right? Now, as we're running up, you'll see that, so there's no short over here. From this perspective, there's no short because your delta is all the way back over here. There's just nothing to do, right? So then the market rolls down. So you see it'll roll down. Then it gives an up bar right here. And I'm walking through it all the way through. Here's the down channel. So I'm going to draw this again. So within this context, this is my biggest delta. So watch. Here's the triangle up. Here's my next triangle up, and you'll see that it gave the lift almost immediately when it gave it. And again, it's at or above. Now, so this is for team members, right? I am considering making an exception, and here's the exception to the rule. If the bar up is pink, right? If the bar up is pink and you're aggressive, you can take this trade. I'm going to say that again. If the triangle up is pink and it's right on the doorstep of this bar, you may take that trade, right? But it is aggressive, okay? So it's at least got to land. The exception to the rule there is going to be the pink bar, and it's got to land right on the number, right? Because you'll see again evidence that the pink bar with the triangle up, it actually pushes. Then we go through this sideways consolidation, right? So keep in mind, we've gone supernova over here. This is off the bottom, right? So now I'm looking for my long trade. So when the market comes down, right, one of the things, so this is a hard consolidation because of the way that it's set up, right? It just kind of started grinding here. And this is New York lunch, which is why I usually don't trade it. All of this from here to here is New York lunch. So you'll see we come out of New York lunch, and you'll see it's out coming out of New York lunch. We go supernova again, and then we come down. We get 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go mark that off, it's from here to here. And you will see this is the bar that had the largest delta, was the first bar down. That matters, but only if I close into it. And you'll see I do not get the pink bar, even though it lifted. And that's fine. This is part of trading, right? You would have looked at it and gone, oh, I would have loved to have that trade, right? But you can't have it every way. Like, only so many trades are going to set up properly. It's got to close in. Really, if you look, this star down, pink bar up was the long here, but that's a different setup. So no trade. Then as we come up here, this is after New York lunch. This is pushing up into unfair pricing right here, right? And if you'll look in this column, the biggest delta is all the way back over here, right? So there's nothing doing. What I need the market to do is come down and then push back up. And you'll see when it pushes back up, that's my largest delta. So in this case, it took all the way to the afternoon. This triangle down through here. So I don't have to have it perfect. I just have to have it line up the way I'm looking for the trade to line up. I actually would have entered the bar before, but there's a different reason for that. Actually, let me make sure of that. I stand corrected. I would not have. I'd enter on this down bar, and you can see you get the push down. Now, over here to the left, see when it pushes up again? You then get this rotation back up. This is the largest delta, right? So remember the rule on the largest delta, on the triangle down, you need to close in, close back in, down rolls the chart, and then it's end of day. We just kind of bounce all the way through there. Now, today was a harder day than normal, right? But I would impress upon you to go do that exact same process, right? The whole point of this coaching session is to really hammer upon you the need. So here's Tuesday. We'll just roll it right over. The need to be very specific on the entry so that you can get those great trades and load them in. So watch. See, I usually don't trade before 9 o'clock. So see how you get the down bar here. So I'm now looking at the up channel, right? So first of all, you have pink bar, right? Double pink. You'll notice when you get them on top or on bottom, they're often exhaustive, right? Next, this delta is huge. It is the biggest of the 24 hours, right? It's right here. Got one to the left. So it's this bar here and here. This is a 2-bar stop. It's about 20 points in key stop. And you obviously got paid on that. Like, that was just picture perfect trade. No question about it. Then as we come right over here, if you were looking for the long, this is the biggest delta down in the rotation. And again, you can clearly see the triangle up next to it is into and or above, pushes out for a very nice trade. And then you can also see if your bias was to the short side, down bar. So new channel over here. This is the biggest delta, one to the right. You can see the triangle is clearly below this bar. Beautiful fall away. Your day should be over at that point. You crushed it. And then as you're coming into the low, right? So again, up bar, down channel, biggest negative delta, triangle up, off it goes in its merry way. This was your biggest negative delta. You clearly had the triangle up above, which is the best. Your stop goes right down here. It's 20 points. You get paid. I don't know why you would have been looking for anything other than a long at this point. And again, you'll see over here where this was quite an odd pull down. It was because of the time of the day, but you see these 4 bars as it pulls down here. And you see these bars through here as they push down. Here's your biggest negative delta. Triangle up, stop down here, push, and then they give you one more chance. There was almost no negative delta on this push down. It was really quite odd. That's your biggest negative delta, if there's any. That was your negative delta. Pink triangle up. You'll notice so often when it's the pink triangle up that's releasing, you know you often will have a big extension coming. Now you're into New York lunch. So we'll come out over here at 12 o'clock. And now I wouldn't mind favoring the short side of the trade at this point. So when I look here, I'm going to go, oh, look, biggest positive delta up right here, right? So what do I need? I need the bar to close into that pink bar. Closes into the pink bar, backside test, clearly rolls down. Comes back up for some more air. You'll notice here the biggest delta is all the way back over here. There's no way to close back into it. But then you will look to the left as we're coming into the close. You obviously could not close back into that delta with the triangle down. That's an example of where that setup just did not work short. And you can go all over the place. We can pick any day randomly when you look, and the win rate is overwhelming on the chart. The win rate, I'm going to say it again, is just overwhelming on the chart. Even when you look, like if you look in here, this would be a place where it'd be more difficult because we went trend day up. You do have to kind of be able to read the tea leaves per se. So you'd look for an exhaustive area or an exhaustive setup. Like, for example, if you get underneath this guy, there's trouble, right? But this is trend day up in its truest fashion. So really what you're looking for, right, really what you're looking for here is some kind of delta push down and then with a triangle up through it. So like this is a super trap, right? So I'd be coming through. That's the only negative delta you have in the super trap. It's right there. It's that. While this was all positive delta, it's really, this becomes your biggest negative delta right there. There's the triangle up. That would have been a hard read for me, other than it was obviously trend day up to the upside. And then when you look on top, see when you get up here, if you're looking for a short, you finally have a very big push. This is one of the biggest deltas to the top side. Then you have the down bar. So within this little tuck up to the upside, I believe this becomes your biggest delta. Triangle below, down you roll. And then once you see that they lost the momentum, right? Biggest delta, triangles in the same plane, down you roll. Again, when you come up through here, this little run up, biggest delta, you don't get the triangle down. No trade. That's unfortunate. The triangle didn't show. It was probably 5 minutes to the close. And I can just go through day after day of this. It just doesn't matter where I go. Here I can pick a random Monday morning, right? So here's 9 a.m. where I'm usually starting to trade, right? So how do I handle these things? So I'll tell you. So clearly through here, this is my biggest negative delta. Wow, I just would have been long on that. Sorry. The biggest negative delta was a positive bar. I would have been long on that immediately. Let's see if we can find another trade setup. So here we are in Supernova, biggest down delta. So remember, I have to have it close in. The pink bar is the exception, but that's triangle up on a pink bar that closes into my biggest delta, and see ya. Like, I can just do this all day long, over and over again. There'll be some stops, but for the most part, I'm going to make really great money. So there's many setups in here. There's obviously lots of ways to cut this. There's a lot of information in here. This is just one trade, but it's one very powerful trade. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, TRADEnPerform@gmail.com. TRADEnPerform@gmail.com. You can ask me questions about it. There's no room in the room right now. We had two new members sign up, so I'm booked again. I had a little bit of space that's opened up, and so we'll just keep rolling it down the line. And if either I have the capacity to take on another member or someone leaves the room, which is rare, I'll open those spaces up. So anyways, have a great night. My name is Simon, Trade and Perform Coaching, TRADEnPerform, TRADEnPerform @gmail.com. Trade well, trade smart, guys. I'll talk to you later.